His face was always full of joy. Whether Paul Schodde was surrounded by family, cooking up some ribs, or working a barbecue contest, he looked happy.
Very gentle man, very unassuming, quiet, but liked order and wanted to serve.
The thing that struck me about Paul is he was solid. You know, when he made a comment, you listened. Because it wasn't just a, well, what do you think about? It was like, no, I've carefully thought this through.
Paul was often seen at the Robert M. Kerr Food and Agricultural Products Center in his role on the Industry Advisory Committee. He brought years of expertise to the center as vice president of Head Country Foods, makers of popular barbecue sauce and seasonings.
And so he was always acting as a spokesperson for training and education through the FAPC, plus the technology that we could drive to them and food safety and all the aspects of what the Food and Ag Product Center can do for the food industry.
Whenever I went to an Industry Advisory Committee meeting and Paul was in the room, I thought, this is great. I'm going to learn something, and I know I can connect with him.
Paul had the heart of a teacher and often invited students up to Head Country in Ponca City for some real-life experience.
Just to let them understand that the day-to-day operational activities and the issues of dealing with people and the productivity issues and things that go down online, you got to get it fixed, because if you don't get it out the door, you're losing money.
For his many years of service to the Food and Ag Products Center and to the state of Oklahoma, Paul was chosen as a champion of OSU agriculture. Sadly, he passed away before he learned of the news. But his wife Shelley understands just what this would have meant to him.
First of all, I think he would have been very honored. And secondly, he would have been very humbled, because he would not have expected it at all. And food, you know, just working in the food industry, he was very proud of what he did. And I just think he would have been very honored.
I just always considered him to be a friend. Even though he wouldn't have agreed to it, I always considered him to be my mentor. He would have probably tried to turn that around, you know, and so on. But I learned something from Paul every time I got close to him.
And as I've learned more about him, you know, his family, his faith are so important to him. And, you know, it's like, well, of course, you know, the person that I knew had to have had those strong commitments to his faith and to his family. It comes through loud and clear in the way he lived his life.
I've said that he was passionate about what he did. And I think what I would want people to remember about Paul is that he loved the Lord, he loved his family, he loved me, he loved his sons and his daughter-in-law and his granddaughter. When I think about him, I think about the kindness that he showed to others. I think that he showed people what it was like, what love was like, what God's love was like. And I think that's what I want people to remember about him.
Paul Schodde, a champion of OSU agriculture.